U.S. is hearing us, U.S. is supporting us, U.S. is walking beside us.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
The Department of Transportation will rescind the Biden fuel economy prices. And I hate to say that because they were really not economy. They were really, they were anti-economy. They were horrible what they were doing to the costs and actually making the car much worse.
Well, there you have it. It looks like you'll be able to buy a gas guzzler again. Well, not a guzzler, the CAFE standards. Those corporate average fuel economy standards, known as CAFE standards, will go from the Biden 50 plus down to 34 and change miles per hour or miles per gallon. So maybe some good news on the front as the affordability crisis continues to get a response from the Trump administration. And we're glad that you've turned on your radio or your app or your Facebook or your YouTube to stay in touch with us. I'm Randy Tobler. Stephanie Bell in wearing, are you getting ready for the big freeze tonight?
I got my buffalo plaid.
Your heavy flannel outfit on?
Southern Boone buffalo plaid, red and black.
Southern Boone. Okay.
Yeah, it's our school colors.
And Drake has his plaid. You guys look like a bunch of lumberjacks today.
I almost wore my Snuggie. It's also like buffalo plaid. It's got a big furry hood on it. I feel like...
I think you should do that one of these days. It'd be good.
You're going to see it.
All right.
Especially if we have to spend the night in the hotel, which I think's on the way.
You think so? It may be.
Yeah.
John Marsh there as well. And John does not have his plaid on, so we'll have to get him up to speed on that. Yeah. So this was an interesting thing. I mean, at first it's dump $1,000 into kids that are born between January of this year and the end of 28. The mortgage, 50-year mortgage. What else? Now we've got, they've reclassified. They're going to reclassify crossovers. Now I think the crossover is a little bit different than an SUV, but crossovers will no longer be classified as a light truck. It'll now be a car, an automobile. So I guess that's somehow changes the demands on manufacturers. So in a big White House, hoopla yesterday, the president of Ford Motors was saying, "Hey, we're going to build plants here. We're going to tool up again."
And then Trump said, "Is that all you can do? I think you can do
more. $5 billion. You can do more." He said, "Yeah." So, what do you think about that? I mean, will that change your attitudes on car buying? We're talking a little bit about the fact that the average new automobile is now over $50,000, just a little over $50,000.
I saw someone post a car on Marketplace yesterday for over $50,000. I was like, oh, that's
used?
cute. Yeah, not very used, but I was like, yikes.
Wow.
Wow.
Drake's been talking about a new car for a while. You are getting a replacement, haven't you?
A scooter.
How many miles does your car have on it? 200,000?
270,000.
Good for you.
Oh, my goodness.
Counting.
What model is it?
The 2011 Toyota Camry.
This is always a fun game. If you can beat Drake, text us 573-874-9390 with a picture of your odometer. What is it, 273?
Hey, he's even got me beat.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I run my cars to the ground. My family always has.
I typically do as well.
Yeah, I think
I got 180 on my minivan at the last one.
More and more people are doing that, and the reports are saying that, used cars, obviously the demand for them is up, but that drives the prices up too.
My son on his, too many props for Toyota, but had a Toyota, and I think when it finally laid down, it was at 340 something.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump did talk, try to cajole the Ford CEO into more.
Dollars are now being invested in the American auto industry. Ford has announced it will invest $5 billion across its Kentucky and Michigan plants. Is that a correct statement?
That's right.
That's a lot, $5 billion. You could do more.
He just right away didn't even break stride, right? Yeah, that's a lot of money. You can do more. He did that when he had the tech CEOs in front of him, remember? He's like, yeah, you guys are doing $10 billion, $20 billion, a total of $150 billion. It's a good start.
I mean, the art of the deal, like setting a floor or a ceiling, there is an art to it, and you're not going to get it if you don't ask, and Trump is not afraid to ask.
So, yeah, I think plants in Kentucky and Tennessee are going to ramp up. That's good. So this is what's touted as a historic reset of the Biden fuel, what are called the CAFE standards. That's for corporate average fuel economy standards. And they say it's going to save American families $109 billion. Now, you have to ask yourself, at a time when we were ballyhooing that prices for gas and what was it, 12 or 15 states are below $2.75. What is the average price around the area, our listing area? Right? What?
I saw $2.79 coming in this morning.
Okay, yeah. And I've seen it as low as $2.69. I bet our Boonville listeners will say, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
Nothing for you guys.
It's a quarter a gallon.
You guys are getting scalped. 573-874-9390. Or if you'd like to give us a call, we would like to talk with you about your thoughts about automobiles. 800-529-5572. 800-529-5572. So if people end up in the next year or 3 or 4 buying less gas-efficient vehicles, will that erode the affordability of gasoline? Because it will now increase the demand for gasoline. If you're getting fewer miles per gallon, don't you have to buy more gallons? Therefore, you raise the demand. Therefore, supply and demand would say, well, collectively, we as a country are going to be guzzling a lot more gas. And so prices are going to go up. So are we really, of course, I guess I'd rather, if I could get a $10,000 discount on my car as a result of the more efficient, or the automobile makers being allowed to make reasonable technology advances, not these crazy goals of 50 some odd gallons average fuel economy. Theoretically, they offer a car at a lower price. Let's say, for argument's sake, the average price goes down to $40,000 by the end of Trump's term. I think if that meant that gasoline cost more because we're all using more of it, and what would you spend, an extra $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000? It's a fair trade-off, right? Depending on what you're saving on that car price.
I don't know what my gas spend a month is. Do you know what yours is? It's going to be less now that you're not utilizing hotels or, you're not traveling and you're just staying.
I don't know. My coffee
yesterday.
Oh my God! I'm still traumatized after yesterday's coffee in the hotel discussion.
You should be.
I mean, my coffee expense if I go to a conference is going to go way up after that.
What's a big 8 truck get, Randy? It gets what? Maybe upper teens, 20 or so on.
Used
on
to
a big diesel
get about
truck?
16.
Yeah,
but that's because I'm tooling around town here. Diesels are terrible around town, the start and stop stuff. If I get on the road, I can get 16 and change. My old Dodge Ram that had an efficiency chip in it. Oh, don't come after me, you EPA people. I didn't put the chip in. But you know what I mean. That
What's
thing.
An efficiency chip?
Oh, Stephanie. You can buy these things that somehow change. I don't know. It changes the fuel injection. It does something to where on my old Dodge Ram, a 2003 Dodge Ram, and it was a 1-ton, not 1 ton, but a 1 ton. I was getting like 23 miles a gallon, and I didn't have to put the DEF in it, and I at risk of putting the DEF in the fuel tank, which some people have been known to do. And but anyway, that you can put that, you can somehow soup up the. I don't know about the electronics of it. There's probably some tech-minded listeners that would be able to tell us.
I've got a performance chip in my car.
Do you?
Yeah.
What is it? What kind of increase did you see?
I don't know, maybe 10% horsepower-wise.
It was pretty remarkable on that old truck I had. Oh, I love that truck. Had to put her down, though. It's a shame. So, 573.
Like a cavalry horse.
Yeah, I know. It was
broke a leg.
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, I think I'm averaging like $400 a month in gas, maybe.
That's a lot of driving.
Well, yeah.
I got 2 people though driving.
You know what's interesting though? I told you we bought this hybrid. It's not a plug-in, but you can see it. I love watching the little the highway patrolmen and the law enforcement officers. Talk about distraction. So you can watch this little icon on the new cars, and the same scroll thing that you can watch your mile since refueling, mile since restart, mile since the dawning of civilization. Gas mileage.
5-alarm fire
mileage,
if you come within 6 feet of a pole.
Oh my God! Yeah, it happened to me again yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to park, and you'd think that the world with the apocalypse was coming.
Yeah, it's just like a countdown, like you're being blown up.
Yeah. So, but then you can scroll and you can watch this little icon that shows from the center heart of the car at what looks like a little battery icon, or in the front a little motor icon. You can see these little flowing orange or blue lines. A charging, hybrid, eco, electric, and
Does
it's
that
fun
make
to
your
watch.
lefty liberal heart explode with rainbows
no,
or what?
No, it makes my guy that built the Heathkit radios as a kid It makes the technology in me, a guy in me.
First Jen with the Teslas, now Randy with the hybrids.
I know.
Where are we headed?
But what's cool is when you're on this hybrid, when we're in town, normally all of you know, when you're in town, you don't get as good a mileage as when you're on the road, cruising down the road. We get better mileage in town on this thing because you spend more time driving electric than you do. It's very, very interesting. I think that may be the sweet spot. Hybrids may be the sweet spot as we try to balance, efficiency, fuel savings, and, not raping the earth from lithium and all of the stuff that goes with that, which is what bothers me ecologically.
Are you sure you're in the right studio?
I'm an environmentalist.
I'm wondering myself.
Okay.
KBI.
Conservative. What is the root of conservative? Conservation.
Save the earth.
I believe in saving the earth, and I believe you can capitalistically conserve. You can do it. Mm-hmm. Come ride in my hybrid sometime. I'll show you that little icon. It's really
hybrids and the plug-in hybrids are the ones that are popular. Those are the ones they're selling.
Well, and I've said all along, I don't really care about the environment. I'm just cheap. I mean, we cloth diapered not because I cared about disposing a lot of dirty diapers. It was because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
But I think the problem we have with a lot of EVs and hybrids right now is they're not cheaper. And so even though you're saving gas in the lifetime of the car, a lot of them are still more pricey than what you can get just a regular old car for.
It wasn't really that much more pricey. It was about the same.
It's getting better. I will say that.
Yeah. But, so it was good. So Sandy says, DEF is a pain in the bucket, but I love our truck. Yeah, that DEF stuff, I don't know. Maybe Trump can do something. We should have talked to them before they came out with these standards and tell them we weren't going to vote for them unless they eliminated DEF. Terrible. Tony Lupo at 7 o'clock, because that's going to be just a frigid, wicked evening tonight in much of our listening area, but not all. And I'll explain, and he'll explain at 7:08. And then at 8:08, we talk with Steve Bucci about narco boat second hits, about Ukraine, Putin wants to fight Europe, stalemate, and about that D.C. National Guard thing. As a retired Special Forces guy, I really want to hear his reaction to that. So lots to talk about on Wake Up Missouri. And glad you're here. We'll be back with the Daily DC Rundown.
It's Wake Up
Information. According to a source familiar with the incident, the two survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets. A JAG officer was also giving legal advice. So again, David, that video will be key, and Admiral Bradley will be on the Hill tomorrow.
Well, it's that, whoa, wow, some bombshell video there. Here's Stephanie with the Daily DC Rundown.
So
Wow.
according to Randy's analysis, if they climb back on the boat and we hit the boat, then maybe not a war crime.
No, you're good.
But Pete Hegseth is certainly under fire, not having a great week. Admiral Frank Bradley, who he's kind of pointed the finger at, is in Congress, briefs Congress today on this explosive boat strike controversy. Both parties are investigating whether this constitutes a war crime. The U.S. has officially confirmed the boat was actually struck a total of 4 times, twice to kill 11 people aboard, twice more to sink the boat. So
You have to sink the boat. The mission is sink the boat.
is get rid of the drugs.
If they happen to be hanging on the sinking boat that is not yet sunk, you have to sink the boat.
Well, the investigation continues. We also got, I think, the conclusion of the initial part of the investigation about the Hegseth signal chat. If you recall, he was texting people about upcoming military strikes in Yemen on the app Signal, which is supposed to be like encrypted. It's used by a lot of folks in the political world. And he accidentally included a person from the Atlantic, I think an editor, and
Jeffrey Goldberg.
Yeah, and it gets leaked. The report from the Inspector General came out yesterday saying that his signal chat could have put troops and their mission at risk. So Hegseth under fire.
He has been under fire since he was nominated.
That's true.
He's just been under fire the whole time.
That's true. We heard a little bit yesterday about Trump's immigration crackdown. He has deployed federal agents to both New Orleans and Minnesota, where that horrible fraud occurred, and is set to begin an enforcement operation that will focus on people that are here without authorization and have a criminal history. We are also, we talked a little bit about cars earlier, but under these new DOT rules, Trump has announced that he's rolling back some of the Biden-era fuel economy standards. Most cars would just need to achieve 34.5 miles per gallon through the 2031 model year. That's down from 50 miles that was implemented by President Biden. The Department of Transportation is saying it could save Americans $109 billion over 5 years. So very good.
That counts.
We've also got some health news. RFK is meeting with his CDC Vaccine Advisory Committee, a 2-day meeting where they're going to review child immunization guidelines. Specifically, they're going to be looking at the Hep B vaccine for newborns and perhaps delaying that vaccine. The committee has changed substantially since RFK took over. Kennedy fired all 17 members and has replaced those folks. A lot of people are skeptical about delaying the Hep B vaccine, saying that 90% of infants who contract Hep B develop chronic infections, and children who get it early have a higher likelihood of dying from liver cancer. Randy, you think we should keep the current vaccine schedule?
You know why it is? It's why you have a captive audience and they want to get the vaccine before they would expect parents to come back and get it. So that very small minority of children that may be exposed to it later on, they want to make sure they're protected. That's the rationale behind it.
It's a lot. When you've got a little baby, it's a lot. It's a lot of jabs and pokes. We're also seeing more infighting, which I hate to see, but now Elise Stefanik is at war with Mike Johnson, saying he's a political novice, and if the vote were held today, he wouldn't get the votes. So.
Wow.
Not great.
Hey, by the way, speaking of those narco boats, the first, action or request for action against the administration has been placed by one of the families of those so-called fishermen. Ha.
I think just local news is like the most important stuff to
Weather for those of you in the central and northern parts of our listening area. And interestingly, apparently, in a little pre-conversation with Tony Lupo, it's not that way southly. It's weird. That much of a disparity. Well, Tony can explain that. Our atmospheric scientist extraordinaire, Tony Lupo, will join us at 7:08. And we'll be talking about national security, some of this new information that Stephanie talked about in the Daily DC Rundown about, it appears as though maybe those people were clinging on to a still floating ship or parts of a ship or boat that was then taken down in that second strike in September that's caused so much of a kerfuffle in the media. And there's been some bipartisan concern about that. Steve Bucci will talk with us about that. He's our retired Special Forces guy. And want to invite you to our AI, that's artificial intelligence, not artificial insemination.
Wait. That's what it is?
Drake, you've been working on this. Did you get the wrong panelist group?
Yeah.
Did you get the artificial insemination group for next Wednesday night, 6 to 7 on the Eagle?
So you're telling me it's artificial intelligence, and we're not talking about artificial insemination.
Oh, my God. When I said tube, I was talking about the day of the tube radio is gone. And we're now talking about modern chips and tech.
Okay.
It was a different kind of tube, Drake. It wasn't about the AI tube.
I had a full demonstration ready, Randy. You ruined my day.
And when I said straw, I prefer a straw in my coffee or soda, not that kind of straw.
And Drake was all ready to bring in the shoulder-length gloves and everything.
Yeah, right. He asked me to get gloves from the office, and I didn't realize. I thought it was because he was going to go home and play with his domestic animals and do something. I didn't know. I thought, well, don't you have to AI your goats and cows and whatever you do on your farm? Don't you do that? Or do you have someone else do that?
Yeah, we don't
have rams, right?
No, we're going to have an artificial intelligence town hall next Wednesday. Senator Cindy O'Loughlin will be among the panelists. We'll have an AI, sort of an industry tech expert, right, Drake? We're going to have several people there on the panel. And then talk about everything from the economy to the culture to the threat potentially and the opportunity about AI. So we'll invite you to listen to that. It's from 6 to 7 next Wednesday. That's the 10th. Town Hall on AI on the Eagle. Now, apparently, did you see this story about how Eli Drinkwitz hauled in 19 recruits on this early signing day, Drake? I know you follow this closely.
You know, with everything that's been going on right now, I haven't looked at much of Mizzou recruiting. I've been looking at Virginia Tech and LSU because it's real interesting.
What?
What?
From the guy who mopes every Monday morning, regardless of whether Mizzou wins or loses. I mean, he's really moping if we lose.
It won't matter if we don't fire Kirby Moore, Stephanie. So, I mean, I'm just waiting for that. That's better than any recruit we could get.
We've got 5 offensive linemen, 3 safeties, 2 wide receivers, 2 linebackers, 2 cornerbacks, 1 defensive end, 1 running back, 1 defensive tackle, 1 quarterback, and 1 tight end.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
3 are from Missouri.
3 from Missouri. Yeah.
3 from Florida.
3 from Florida.
2 from Illinois.
2 from Illinois.
There's a lot of singleton ones, but apparently we've got some pretty good folks. The group is comprised of 14 players ranked in the top 20 in their respective states, and 2 players ranked nationally in the top 100.
Yeah, that kid out of Pennsylvania, that quarterback, he's supposed to be a hot deal.
Wow.
Let me see if I can grab his name.
Did I see it?
Sidware or something like that?
You never know if what you see these days on the Twitter or on the wherever I see it on the social media. I saw a social media report that this Madison wide receiver guy is entering the portal. Supposed to be is he one of our hot wide receiver guys that can outrun anyone? Do we have a guy named Madison?
Well, we recruited Gavin Sidwar from Warrington, Pennsylvania. He's the quarterback.
Friend of Prabula? Isn't Prabula from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Prabula and Zollers is from.
Is Zollers too?
I think he's from Pennsylvania. I could be wrong on the Zollers.
Does Coach Drink have a Pennsylvania connection somewhere? Got a little
that's why
pipeline going?
That's why people had him so highly at the Penn State search.
Oh, okay. I think that's probably true. I imagine that these kind of networking sort of relationships between high schools and, areas maybe, and they get a successful recruit, has a good experience, and then, the word gets out.
What about this offensive lineman clocking in at 340 pounds? And
Wow.
6'3" out of Georgia. No, he went to school in Georgia.
Sounds like, what's his name? Perry? Fridge Perry? No.
Brandon Anderson.
Yeah.
Well, this is really good because Eli Drinkwitz's strength has been through the actual transfer. Is this the transfer portal or is this recruits? Because
this is recruits.
Yeah,
Early signing day.
The transfer portal, that's where he really makes his mark. And so having so many good recruits is great.
Apparently they had 22 ready to go. They lost a trio of commitments to late cycle flips, according to the Columbia Daily Tribune. But the 247 Sports, whatever that is, composite rankings, considers the nation's number 32 signing class, 32.
And we've got 3 folks coming in from Missouri. Braylon Ellison from Boonville. We've got someone from St. Louis. Keenan Harris from St. Louis. And Bryson Wessel out of Jackson, Missouri. I always like it when people stay home.
So, by the way, okay, so I'm checking the text line here on another note. I predicted it. You mentioned Boonville.
Yes.
One of our listeners says that gasoline at the Casey's in Boonville, $2.32 a gallon.
Wow.
What is it about Boonville and gasoline prices? What's going on? Are they watering it down with something?
Yeah. Well, it's like Brigadoon. It only happens so often. No, they have great gas prices.
Man alive.
In Boonville.
You have to start thinking about
Make
whether
sure you stop at the pump before you go to the casino, or maybe
there you go.
There you go.
And John says many people. Okay, put the syringes down. O lineman is huge, says Sandy. That's good. That's good. So it sounds like a good start, although they entered yesterday's signing day or the day before, whatever that early signing day, I think it was yesterday, 25th in the country, and they dropped because of those late cycle flips to 32nd in the country. That's not bad. How does his pay compared to the top 31?
I think we're in the top 10.
Top
right?
10, yeah, for sure.
I think 10th.
That recruiting better come up to the top 10. Yeah?
Randy.
Wouldn't you expect the recruiting to match the ranking in the
Drake
pay?
said the real talent is in the transfer portal. So top, 30, 25 in this, I think is pretty good.
We keep having this, we have this recurrent suggestion that the reason Boonville gas prices are lower is because MFA was born there, or one of the first originators of MFA was born. Therefore, those prices have always been low. Like there was some kind of a deal? I don't know.
It's a mystery to
Can
me.
a community make a deal with a... Something doesn't square with that theory. Doesn't square. So, I don't know. Todd says check it out. Okay, well we'll have to do some research. Drake, would you get on that and do some research on that? Drake's being challenged by this. So we've been talking about these the standards that have been the corporate average fuel economy standards, known as CAFE standards. Joe Biden put those on absolute unrealistic, stratospheric expectations of, what did you say, Stephanie, 50 plus, 50.4 or something
it
miles
was
per
50
gallon?
miles per gallon. I think we're going back to like
34 and a
35,
half.
yeah.
34, 35. So we talked about how that might bring, they're claiming that'll bring the price of cars down because the manufacturer's saying, hey, we can, if you don't push us to push technology before it's technology's time, we can focus on building cars that have reasonable efficiency, cars and trucks, make it more affordable for people. And the administration's saying that'll bring it down to what, 109, that it'll save families $109 billion a year. Well,
it's interesting to look at the industry, and we look at all the super high horsepower performance cars and trucks from all the manufacturers, and there's, they're 500 horsepower, and they're still getting 30 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
So the technology's there.
It just must cost a lot more to implement it, huh? That's the only thing I can figure. I don't know. At any rate, this is an example of the entire government. Remember when Trump came in and said every department needs to be conscious of the economic consequences on the people. So the deregulatory atmosphere, the DOGE initiative, which is still paying off, by the way. Read that the other day, that, that line item accounting where you've got to have basically a purchase order, the equivalent of that. If you're going to make a payment from the Treasury, you have to on the line of what was the payment for, what's the documentation behind it, here's the code for that department or sub-department. And apparently that's still reaping some benefits because a lot of checks aren't being written because there just isn't a solid documentation line from the demand for the check and the issuance of the check. But on these cafe standards, so that led to a conversation of affordability of cars, which is currently unaffordable for the vast majority of us, and either long-term loans payments. That's the other thing. Our car loans are going to be deductible, right? Yes. I think the interest on car loans, right?
Yeah, I think Trump had said something yesterday about how previously it was just for the rich, but he's changing it so that folks like us in middle class will be able to do that.
So then that led to a story that Drake was crowing about his Toyota Camry running because people are just going to drive their cars till they drive them to the junkyard. What'd you say, 274 and still rolling?
I don't know where this, 74, 73, 72.
274,000. 270. And all of a sudden, Drake is having challengers. I'm getting odometer pictures like Reese's has pieces here. Here's one odometer. I'm getting odometer pictures. Here's one, a Ford F-150, 337,000 miles. Here's another one. Tom, 255,000. So, people are driving their cars. Is Hardy still a Tiger? Sandy asks.
As of now, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have sympathy I was joking about Eli Drinkwitz and how he was making a lot of money and he was griping about the tunnel, the portal and the NIL and how it's so stressful. And, I'm like, well, if you're going to get paid big bucks, stress goes with it, right? That said, I remain and will remain steadfast in maintaining the portal and the NIL are the worst thing that ever happened to cohesive team spirit in sports. This year's team doesn't look like next year's team. College football players are now free agents. They are. I think the next thing that ought to happen, the only thing that can straighten this out is if there's contracts. If you guys want to make the big bucks, you star football players, you sign a contract, and I'm going to be here for 4 years.
Well, then we wouldn't have Ahmad Hardy because he came here through the portal.
And also coaches are on contracts and they get bought out all the time. That's not the money's not an issue. I mean, if Ahmad Hardy was here on a 3-year contract, if Georgia wanted them, they're going to spend the money to pay the buyout and Ahmad Hardy. So,
I don't know. Yep. Just the concept of team has gone. It's bye-bye. Charles, 420,000 on his Toyota Corolla. There you go. Charles is the leader in the clubhouse. 420. Hey, let's talk a little health when we come back. Sugars, various kind of sugars. A little bit during this sugary sweet season of the year. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
So I see, welcome into Wake Up Missouri. And it's time to make Missouri healthy again. Do you know the difference between sucrose and glucose and fructose and galactose?
Sure don't.
Do you care?
I sure don't.
Okay, next. How about those narco boat explosions? What do you think? Actually, you probably should think about it a little bit. We are seeing epidemic rates of fatty liver. It's a big problem in America. That can lead to problems. Well, it certainly leads to inflammatory problems, can lead to cirrhosis of the liver, can lead to cancer of the liver, ultimately, if you get cirrhosis and too much inflammation going on. And it's really a marker for in most people. There are other reasons to have this other than our diet and our lifestyle, but diet and lifestyle, including alcohol and sugar intake and fatty intake, and there's a lot of other things. Genetic deficiencies in this or that kind of a substance can do it. Autoimmune problems can do it. But you can see people that are eating too much fructose, especially as high fructose corn syrup, are putting themselves at risk. And where is that? Try your sodas, most of your sodas. Try many of the sweeter kind of snacks and desserts and things that you might get. Just take a look on the back of the label when you can, and you'll see it says high fructose corn syrup. But also, regular old sugar is really a combination of glucose. We all know about glucose. We get that with our lab tests, and when you check a hemoglobin A1C to look at your average glucose over the last 3 months. Glucose is really the ultimate power source for our cells, although our liver can make power out of other sugars, including fructose. So when glucose is absorbed into the body, it goes right into the cells and becomes useful. Insulin drives it into the cells, becomes useful. When you eat sugar, your intestine has to break that into a glucose and a fructose. The fructose goes to the liver, and the liver then has to work to make it into a usable power source for you. This is where some of the problem comes in. When you eat or drink high fructose corn syrup, it really puts a challenging bit of work for your liver, and it increases your inflammation. You've heard me talk before about how inflammation is a risk for everything from heart disease to dementia to cancer. Many cancers are related to that. So the argument is, but Randy, what about fructose? Don't you find it in fruits? That's why, fructose fruits. You do. But when you eat fructose in the context of a fruit, because of all the other goodness in the fruits, the other nutrients there, the fiber that's there, it really is an okay thing for you. So once again, this sort of circles back to the general theme that I'm hoping you're all hearing over and over again, and RFK has it right on this one. Get your source of your nutrients from the real McCoy. Eat whole foods. Eat clean foods. Try to avoid the processed foods. That's the best way to go, because your body knows how to deal with those things and process those elements, rather than the processing in the industrial plant down the street. That doesn't agree well with your body. In this case, it's high fructose corn syrup and your liver. We're talking the weather when we come back. Stay tuned. reducing mileage standards? Because after all, this will probably mean apocalyptic climate change and the planet will collapse in the next 12 years if we're getting less fuel efficiency. I mean, I know you're a guy that worries about that, Tony. Tongue is in cheek, of course.
Yeah. Yes, good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Yeah, that darn Donald Trump. What is he thinking?
I think this will be a good thing for, for maybe get some of the car market more affordable for people, because it has become absolutely just out of reach for many people. No doubt.
It has, and I feel for young people especially.
Yeah.
So
it's tough. And Drake's pretty soon going to put his violin hot button on there pretty soon. It's so tough. It's so tough for those young people. But so I looked at this last night. I unfurled my long extension cord that goes from the nearest plug out to the driveway, and it will stay there in place throughout the entire year, because I have to plug my diesel in when it gets below a certain amount, or else it's going to gel up on me. And I think tonight may be the night, because I'm in the Columbia area. Tell us about what we might be looking at this evening across our listening area from, north central Missouri all the way down to southwest Missouri.
Absolutely. Today we're expecting cold weather. It should be clear up here. But if you're in the Springfield area, you might see a flurry or two, especially in the afternoon, more as you go south toward Branson. And also with the cold, I expect that tonight will be down in the single digits up near Kirksville.
Wow.
We'll be in the lower teens around here and in the 20s in Springfield. Now, that's not quite as cold as we thought it was going to be even 24 hours ago, but it still represents quite a change throughout the state.
And of course, it's Kirksville that's the coldest place. Anyone who spent 4 years like me there knows that it is the absolute coldest place in Missouri.
Tony, what changes the weather so dramatically in the first place, and what accounts for the difference in latitude of just a few degrees between Kirksville and Springfield? That's not that big of a difference. It's 3 hours, 4 hours maybe, but my goodness, you're talking about a swing of 30 degrees maybe? Or, well, not that, 20 degrees maybe? Wow.
It's close to 30 degrees this morning. I was looking at temperatures near zero near the Iowa border, and then down near the Arkansas border, we're closer to 25 and a little higher. And that happens here in Missouri quite a bit, actually, because being in the middle of the country, if that flow is more east to west, those strong cold air blasts can't get as far south. So however far these cold air blasts get, you're going to see that kind of a gradient somewhere, or that kind of change somewhere. And right now that just happens to be us.
Well, so why is there a difference in the gradient, the excursion of the cold air blast, whether it's coming from the east or the northwest or the south or wherever else it comes from? I get from the northwest, right?
Yeah, it depends on the upper air a bit. I mean, if the upper air is more north to south, that air is going to penetrate a lot further southward toward Florida. And, of course, if it's more east to west, it's not going to be able to get very far to the south. So, and we have a situation where the flow over the southern half of the U.S. is more east to west, and over the Canada and the northern part of the U.S., it's more north to south. It's just a weird configuration.
Wow.
And it's just something that we experience from time to time.
It is true. I mean, when I lived in northeast Missouri, a little northeast of Kirksville even, it felt the difference between that and driving home to see mom or dad or my brother or sister in the St. Louis area was like, the difference between Fargo and Naples, it felt like. I mean, it was unbelievable. Well, maybe I exaggerate a little bit. Now, how much, I was thinking about, we're talking with Tony Lupo, atmospheric scientist from Mizzou. How much, I was thinking with all the dispensaries going around, I have a theory. I might enroll in your atmospheric scientist class, your atmospheric science class, and test it. I have a theory. A lot of dispensaries going on. And with all the home games we had this year, could it be that there is a blocking effect from overwhelming plumes of weed smoke rising out of the mid-Missouri area? Could that provide a blocking effect that protects the lake and Springfield from this southerly movement of the cold air blast? What do you think? Valid theory?
Well, if there's enough of that smoke, it'll reflect sunlight out.
Okay, sounds like you're not going to buy that. I get an F in your class. Okay, well, I tried. All right, well, let's look ahead. I mean, everyone hopes. Well, I don't know whether Stephanie hopes. Stephanie, do you hope for a white Christmas so that the area looks like a snow globe on Christmas morning when you look out of your picture window at the front of your house?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the chance of that, Tony?
Well, the chance of a white Christmas in the mid-Missouri area, climatologically, is about 25%, which means about every 2 to 3 years we should get a white Christmas. And we haven't had one in a while, and it's too far ahead right now, but it's not looking overly promising. We hear about this polar vortex and the 3 cold intrusions that we're supposed to get. It almost seems like everything's 3 this time of year, 3 ghosts, 3 cold air intrusions.
Yeah.
But when they say that, a lot of times they're talking about the east, the north and east. And it's kind of frustrating out here in the Midwest because it's as if there's nobody that lives outside the Northeast. So we are expecting 3 cold blasts, but the next 2 will mainly affect the north and east. And how bad it gets here will just depend on how widespread that high pressure is. And that would be late next week, and then the next week after that.
I was in Centralia late last night, and I was shocked by the amount of snow that was on the ground, and it looked like they actually had to shovel it. It's very different from what we have in Ashland and Jefferson City. And I know several of us in mid-Missouri already burned through a couple of snow days. So what's the over-under on us tacking days on and seeing a lot of snow this season?
Well, given what we've seen already, I think it might be an over on that one. Although we'll have to see, because I think we're going to see a pattern similar to last year, where we had a lot of smaller snow events, especially in January, February. So we might be looking at an over on that.
Okay, well, let's talk about something that really does impact people significantly, and that is the overall amount of time that their furnace, whether it is an electric furnace, a propane furnace, a natural gas furnace, is having to pump out some heat this year. Because, I mean, it just seems like energy costs are up. So what's the story? I mean, are we going to be looking at an overall much colder winter just on average?
No, I think it's going to be a little colder than average, but not much colder than average. In other words, I think we're going to get our share of cold air this year, but we'll have some warm-ups in between.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I think that a lot of people are really having to pinch pennies to get all the bills paid. And, of course, you can't not pay that utility bill, right? That's one of those essentials you have to do. So we hope it stays
absolutely.
down.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very, very good. Any speculation on where the Missouri Tigers are going to go, which bowl they might end up at?
Well, I heard a rumor about Nashville and against an old foe, Nebraska, which might be a good game, but I don't know where I heard that rumor, but I heard it yesterday and the day before. So.
And since you are the chief meteorological academic there at Mizzou, how's those contract extension talks going? Just asking.
There you go.
I think that says it all. That response.
I would like to get into that name, image, and likeness.
All right, let's start the name, image, and likeness. Merch, the merch shop, the Tony Lupo merch shop. We're going to see if we can. Tony, thanks for being with us. Always great information. You're a great sport. And folks should tune into the Mid-Missouri weather page on Facebook as well. Thanks, Tony.
Yep, thank you. Have a good day, guys.
You too. Stay warm. That was pretty good. When I asked him about the contract extension, he's just laughing, right? Oh, boy. When we come back, rage bait. What does that mean, and how important is it? We'll find out.
It's Wake Up Missouri
Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. We talk national security, narco boat second strikes, Ukraine, Putin, and reaction to the D.C. shooting resulting in the death of a 20-year-old guardswoman and critically injuring her partner on the beat there, who is apparently clinging to life in an ICU. We do that with Steve Bucci, our national security expert. I don't think Putin wants peace. We'll ask him that. Now he's saber-rattling against all of Europe. The guy's a loon, which makes me worried that he could be capable of pushing the nuclear button, but that's another story. That's at 8:08. And don't forget our artificial intelligence, our AI town hall next Wednesday night on the Eagle at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. And we'll have a panel of folks to talk about the various aspects. There's so many spokes from that AI hub that an hour isn't enough, but we'll at least get into it a little bit and probably then revisit a lot of those spokes as time goes on here in the program.
Hope Randy isn't wearing his cranky pants. But we'll hope that you bring the tough questions.
I don't have cranky pants.
About AI, you sure do.
I'm appropriately skeptical of everything new, bright, and shiny.
He's delusional is what he is, Stephanie.
I resemble that
Some
remark.
people would say stick in the mud.
No,
Get
wait
with
a minute.
the times.
No. It's called the wisdom of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Be appropriately.
Because the internet was so bad, Randy.
How's that internet working out for us culturally?
Great.
We wouldn't be on 3 different stations if we didn't have the internet.
I listened to talk radio as a kid back before there was even the computer chip. I mean, it was a beautiful thing.
How's that
Art Bell
computer
and his
that you used to run the show working out for you?
How's what?
How's the computer you're staring at? How many screens are you staring at right now?
I'm just telling you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Do I have to go to my store? Okay. Tomorrow I'll have to do my story on tech burnout among young people, digital burnout.
I want you to do the show tomorrow out of a book.
He's going to do it was the night before AI and all through the studio.
No, I'm fascinated by AI. I think there's opportunities and there's threats, like most new things. And it needs to be managed right. And I believe the difference maker will be culture, not regulation.
Full SWOT analysis coming your way from Randy. You know what I'm talking about?
Special guest, Al Gore.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
It's a SWOT analysis. Yes, it's a SWOT analysis. And I just want to we want to cover all the bases. And so we will do that in a very fair and objective and always, usually, mostly, truthful way. Accurate way. Sometimes we get accuracy wrong, but you guys keep us honest by calling us at 800-529-5572 or texting at 573-874-9390. Now, today, speaking of interesting listening, today is one of my favorite days on the Nolan Show. That's the Think Tank Thursdays. I love those. Love those Think Tank Thursday guys. And then I heard Mike Murphy had on one of the candidates for the Associate Boone County Judge last night, Mr. Ellis. Is that right, Dan?
Mr.
Ellis? Was it right, Ellis? I don't know. Anyway, he was on last night, one of the candidates. I don't, but Mike will do a good job, I'm sure, of trying to get all the candidates on for that post. It's funny, judges can't really talk about much, right, when they're running for their position, because then that would they'd have to recuse themselves.
There are special rules for judges and special rules about elected judges and what they can and can't.
As often happens, I never got to the story I thought we were going to get to, but we will do that at 7:35. Oxford has come out with the most popular words and phrases of the year. One of them is rage bait. There's a couple others I can't make sense of. Well, at least one. That coming up at 7:35. Welcome back to Wake Up Missouri. You know, there are terms that just take flight in our culture. And one of them, I think, becomes quite prominent here on the program, right, Stephanie? I mean, we talk often about rage baiting. In fact, producer Drake gets rage baited when I start mentioning, what is it that really...
It's college football.
College football, really, man, that just really gets you triggered, right? So rage bait was named Oxford. First of all, Oxford has it wrong. It's not a word of the year because it's 2 words, so it would be a phrase of the year. But we'll with that. What? Well, Rudy Veet would correct it.
Sure.
We talked with Rudy yesterday, and part of his amended bill on disabled license plates has some grammatical corrections, where in the original bill, the bill in force right now, has in the same sentence a mix of plural and singular. And for those of you who learned grammar, unlike producer Drake, who never did, no, I'm kidding you, Drake. No, you learned grammar, didn't you? You're not. I mean, did you learn grammar?
Me don't speak well.
Did you learn first person singular and participles?
Yeah, I learned grammar.
Yeah.
I have a great English teacher back in high school.
Yeah. John knows a lot about dangling participles, but we'll move on. So,
right. Okie dokie.
No. So rage bait was named Oxford's Word of the Year. So there's other ones like vibe coding, 67. We've talked about that, how that's a popular one among the grade schoolers, right, Stephanie? Parasocial and rage bait. So what's the difference between rage baiting and triggered? Isn't it sort of the same?
No, I mean, rage baiting is trying to get a reaction out of someone. It's like you don't actually have to believe it. It's like,
okay.
I'm trying to think of a good example. If I say that I love insurance companies and I think that they're the savior of the world, and I just keep on buying into that, and you get more and more mad about it.
The more you say that, and I'm just fuming, right? And then I explode.
Yeah.
I've been rage baited. I took the bait.
Yeah, you got rage baited. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
This is the same bunch last year that did the, didn't they do brain rot last year? Wasn't that last year's
I
word?
think that's probably right.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
So one of the examples they give is, though it wasn't intended as a rage bait, American Eagles' Sydney Sweeney jeans campaign was a massive success, but it rage baited a lot of people on the left, right? I mean,
that is an improper use of the term. You use rage bait only for the purpose of making the other person rage.
Oh, so
it's not like you can't accidentally rage.
It's not if it's a collateral damage of this.
That's somebody who's triggered by something you put out and you didn't really care.
Yeah,
but they were triggered.
Okay,
yeah, maybe a semantics challenge of rage bait versus just general trolling, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so rage bait is it's sort of like the difference between first-degree homicide and second-degree homicide, right? Or manslaughter. So first-degree homicide is like, I'm targeting that person, I'm taking them out. That's what Mangione did. That was right. Whereas if you are drunk and you're driving and you have an accident, and then that would be manslaughter. You didn't intend to do it. It was a bad mistake, right? It was a mistake, right? That would not be rage baiting.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now that we've got that cleared up, that's good. So, so there are some other things though that they've looked at, and what was one of the other terms that they looked at? Oh, aura, AURA farming was like a runner-up. Aura farming is when you are trying to create the sense of being cool and calm and collected and sort of having a groove. Apparently, I don't know. Have you?
Ooh, it's Drake.
Yeah. Yeah. So, aura farming means to cultivate a public image by presenting oneself in, quote, a way intended subtly to convey an air of confidence, coolness, or mystique.
Well, that's
no, that's not Drake.
Spades. Sure it is.
No, Drake is just out there with his coolness. He's like, look at me, look how cool I am.
Yeah, but he's kind of aura farming the girlies.
No. Aura farming?
Aura farming, that's also kind of like rage baiting, where you have to try to aura farm. You do things purely to boost your aura.
Is that like the guy or the gal at the singles bar that's posing? Yeah, you're sort of posing, the hands on the chin. And
soy boys.
And you shaved just enough to be called a 5 o'clock shadow, just that kind of a thing. You're is that it? That would be called aura forming?
Yeah.
Now, all these guys that purposely do a 5 o'clock shadow are sticking pins in their Tobler voodoo doll.
There you go.
And then biohack is an attempt to improve or optimize one's physical or mental performance, health, or longevity. Boy, I see a lot of that in the office.
Boy, yeah, I bet you see a lot of that in the mirror.
John, turn off his...
Biohack, optimize one's physical and mental performance, health, longevity, or well-being by altering one's diet, exercise routine, or lifestyle. Sounds like the doctor.
Now, wait a minute. Okay, but I didn't get that part of it. I just saw it stopped at health or longevity. I agree with the lifestyle improvement. What I'm struggling with is people are spending gobs of money. I mean, enough money to almost make a car payment sometimes on all of these magic bullets. And I urge people, can you really sustain that? And by the way, do we know that over the long term, that's really good for you? And so we talk a lot about that in the office. So I don't know. I think of biohack as sort of like, well, if it's thought of as far as, man, this is a healthy practice that you should do lifelong because it's proven, it's for centuries, it works. People that do this live longer, live better, live healthier. So it's a good idea. If that's what biohack means, I agree. If it's
drink juice for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Stephanie. No.
Fistfuls of vitamins and supplements and technology and...
Yeah. Now, we take supplements, but we take them selectively because of, identified or perceived deficiencies, or if we get a cold, we start popping a lot of vitamin C and zinc temporarily, we do that kind of stuff. But, okay. So past winners include podcast in 2005. Wow. Emoji in 2015. And in 2022, Goblin Mode. Oh, those were people who resisted returning to normal life after the COVID pandemic.
That's what Goblin Mode
Had you heard that?
is?
Goblin Mode. I hadn't heard that one. Somehow we missed that. I don't know.
That's those dirty millennials trying to dirty up our slang culture here.
What?
Gen Z has so much better slang and terms than the millennials do.
Okay.
And that's a fact.
That sounds like a challenge. Produce one.
Bet.
Is that really millennial?
Bet? What does bet mean? I thought
No,
bet,
I'm saying it to you.
Like online betting? Bet? What does bet mean?
Randy,
like
you
a
need to stick out of this
challenge.
fight. I mean,
okay,
you won't understand a word.
When someone makes a claim, like Drake, our lingo is better than yours, you can say like bet.
You just say bet.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
It's like
that
a
means,
challenge.
Oh, challenge. Okay.
It's like saying, I bet you can't do that. It's like bet. It's just bet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead. Produce one.
I mean, we got brain rot. Rage baiting is a pretty good one. I mean,
Alan says rage baiting is when I text Randy in the mornings.
That is very valid.
That is true.
Is Alan does he not believe in everything he's been saying? Because that's been kind of the highlight, seeing him tear you apart.
He doesn't tear me apart.
Oh, always.
He
Randy
gives me fodder with which to sharpen my rhetorical and debate skills.
No, he definitely tears you apart, Randy.
Actually, I think he fairly points out some of the hypocrisy on the right, to Alan's credit.
No.
I'll give
yes.
you. Okay, back to the lingo conversation. I'll give you cook. That's been my favorite. I think it works in so many contexts, and I really like it.
Like she ate. That's a good one.
What does that mean? She was at the restaurant and ordered a hamburger?
Like if she did, like if someone does something good, like, you ate with that.
I tried that out on my daughters, and all I got was LOL, emoji laugh, emoji laugh, emoji laugh.
Rightfully so.
Well, Steph, your era was the era of fat and chillax and and all of those, wasn't it?
Listen to John. Next thing you know, he'll be wearing loose pants below his butt and a hoodie, singing some rap. Listen to him. Wow. Are you culturally with it or what?
That's it.
Oh, man. I tell you. So I don't know. Well, remember we had the cultural language translator that was given by my daughter-in-law.
That was fun.
I'm hoping they come up with something equally creative this Christmas.
Yeah, I hope so. All right. John, what creative ditty do you have for us, to use another word?
There we go. The voices made me eat this beef jerky.
All right. I got lots of Haldol for John's segment coming up. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up.
33-year-old Cole Bertels had an unusual explanation for breaking into a Circle K store last week, eating a bag of spicy teriyaki Jack's Link beef jerky, and drinking a Gold Peak sweet tea. He told cops, "I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but there is an AI intelligence speaker in my neck." Surveillance video showed Bertels kicking through the glass door of the store in St. Charles around 2:15 in the morning. Since it was closed, he explained the voices in his head told him to break down the door since it was locked. He faces charges of burglary and property damage, but cops say it's not his first rodeo. They say his rap sheet from other parts of the state is full of felony burglary convictions, with apparently, most recently, an affinity for Buc-ee's jalapeno honey or Korean barbecue beef jerky. There you go.
Now
you know the rest of that story.
So clearly schizophrenia, right? Hearing voices. And we laugh about this. No personal harm done, but that's the same process that leads people to shoot other people because they've been told to by their hallucinatory voices. This kind of guy needs to be protected from himself, and others need to be protected from him by being institutionalized. Would anyone disagree? You want to disagree with me on that?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Drake, why do you want to disagree with me? Just to be obstinate?
No, and that would be a rage bait if I were to carry on with this and I didn't believe it. No, I mean, if you hear voices, I mean, as long as you don't act on them, I mean, let them be.
Dear Drake, that's the problem. It's unpredictable. We can't predict what voices are going to be telling these people.
You can't predict what I'm going to be doing every day.
I do have.
Maybe I have voices and I listen to them.
I do bring in the doctor's bag with some Haldol, and I have it ready, on hand, syringe full, ready to inject you with.
You come at me with a syringe,
At
Randy,
all times.
you are not leaving this building. I swear, I hate needles. You're going down.
I would be protecting you from yourself and others from you.
And that's your job?
Yeah, I am the protector of all things good and pure.
And you think that these institutionalized... yeah, that's rage bait. That's rage bait.
They do let you out every night to do the show. Then you have to check back in, don't you? Around 5?
Yeah, around 5-ish.
Right.
No, I mean, we laugh about it. John, wasn't there a guy that broke into a Jefferson City? There was something to do with a chocolate milk fetish or something.
Chocolate milk.
Remember?
And they found it sitting on his seat of his car.
Yeah,
after
remember?
He wrecked the car and the chocolate milk was still cold.
Didn't he drive it into the facility? Ram into the thing?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Well, and it was one of those deals where he had some real serious pre-existing mental health issues.
Yeah. And the challenge with those issues, seriously speaking, is that often people will get treatment and they will maybe be in a group home or something, some kind of outpatient place. But then once they start feeling better with their self-administered medications, they stop using them because they're feeling better, right? And then they go back through the cycle again. And there are that minority of patients who just are never going to get better. They're not going to have a permanent remission. They're just not going to. And I think we need to rethink what we're doing in terms of that. Charles Krauthammer said it. He was trained as a psychiatrist at Harvard when Harvard was a great institution. And he said that, before his demise. It's like, man, we've got to bring those places back. Well, look at Missouri. We talk about it all the time, Stephanie. I mean, how these people are these recidivists who have these rap sheets, and not all, but some of them are clearly mentally ill. I mean, from the get-go. And there's not anywhere to harbor them other than, I guess, in the institutions of, the jails, but maybe that's not the right place for them. Maybe they need to be institutionalized in a medical type facility and treated before they do something bad.
Yeah, the average wait in Missouri, I think what they tell us, like a year.
Yeah.
For a mental health inpatient bed.
Right, which is why they have to have the temporary overnight for Drake. Not a permanent bed. He's taking it, man. He's so good.
You can't rage bait me,
I'm trying.
Randy.
I'm trying.
You really can't.
Laura texts us at 573-874-9390. I love Charles Krauthammer. He was an intelligent guy. He's a good man, good analyst. A reminder, if you're just joining us, that we will be having a town hall event on artificial intelligence, and all of the many facets of that. I mean, that is like, if you think it's a diamond, it is like a diamond with many facets. And you turn it one way and it shines blue, and another way it glistens yellow, and another way it's green. And that's what we'll be talking about, the good, bad, ugly. Stephanie apparently thinks there's nothing ugly, but do you think there's nothing ugly or potentially ugly about AI? Come on.
I think there are threats. I think the opportunities vastly outweigh the threats.
All right. So that we'll discuss those kind of matters and what those specific opportunities and threats may be with a panel of folks at our town hall emanating from the world headquarters of the Zimmer Radio Network on Limon Industrial Boulevard in Columbia. Next week from 6 to 7. From 6 to 7, we'll be broadcasting on the Eagle frequency. And if you don't live in the area and don't get it on the radio, you can always tune in on the app, the 93.9 The Eagle app, or online, or will it be on Facebook? Will we do the Facebook thing as well, or probably not?
Probably not.
Probably not the video then, because it'll be in the conference room. Yeah. Okay, and Drake will be there to weigh in. That's right. Oh, right. You're going to be producing.
Yeah. Well.
You'll be in the control room.
I'm actually security for the event.
Really?
Believe that one? Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
Better behave.
That's a real. Speaking of security, we're going to talk with our security expert, national security and defense, Steve Bucci. He'll be with us in just a few minutes to talk about narco boats, Ukraine, and those sad heroes. They're wonderful heroes, but the sad outcome with those National Guardsmen in D.C. Stay tuned. He joins us now. And Steve, this is sort of new and I think potentially exculpatory news for Hegseth and team. No?
I assume you're talking about the report that these guys were not just survivors clinging to wreckage in the water. They climbed back onto the not yet destroyed boat, were then radioing their buddies to come and rescue them so they could salvage the illegal drugs that were on the boat, and that the practitioners, the combat guys, called back. They explained the situation. They ran it by the lawyers, who said, "No, they're still combatants. They're in the fight. They're trying to, get control of these drugs again. They are a legitimate target."
Yeah.
So it appears, and interestingly, if you look back at this story started with the Washington Post.
Yep.
The New York Times said, "Hey, we've investigated this. There's no there." And it's not like the New York Times is a shill for the Trump administration. But the left grabbed on this one story that apparently was based on one person's view that's still anonymous, and everybody just ran with it. And I think on the right, the left, I expect that. On the right, it was a little bit disheartening, but because of the way it was couched, it made a lot of our legislators, who, by the way, are mostly lawyers, but not international law experts, and definitely not experts in the law of war in the main, they said, well, this looks kind of shady. We might have to do something about this. And I think what we're turning out to find out is this is just what happens in conflict, that, look, these are bad guys. They're pirates. They're drug dealers. They're connected to the Venezuelan government in illegal ways. And people are just sort of distressed that we've got a president now who's saying, you know what, enough's enough. We're not going to permit this any longer. And the left is just apoplectic because it's, well, who are you to make this decision, Mr. President, Mr. Secretary of War? And the answer is the President of the United States and the Secretary of War of the United States, who are trying to protect America.
Well, that's a great analysis of the whole issue, and you're right. I mean, when the New York Times is combating the information from the Washington Post, that's pretty powerful stuff. But let's talk about the hypothetical and reel it back. Had we not had this new bit of information now that really exposes that, in fact, this was carefully calibrated and curated at the time in real time. They had a JAG officer there, sort of calling I'm thinking of that person as like the referee in the booth on the football game, when there's a call.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. A good commander, when they get into a situation that is, it appears, at least on the surface, to have the potential to have some gray area, they go to their legal advisors and say, hey, guys, what's your call on this? The decision still rests with the commander. The commander is not bound by the legal advice. But as one of my legal buddies at Heritage, who is a JAG officer also, he said, Booch, always listen to your JAG. Always listen to them. They're going to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah.
And I say, I'm less concerned with trouble than I am with effectiveness. Yeah. But that's good advice. Well, and that's what they did.
Yeah, risk assessment's always a part of any job that involves high stakes activity. A final thing about that: who defines and how do you and who agrees to these laws of war? Is this a document that the United States and other countries sign, or what is this law of war? Tell us about that.
The law of war in general is a more of a very vague agreement that, we're going to try and, war is always difficult and painful and destructive, but the civilized nations, particularly right before World War I, that era, started a process to try and at least minimize the horrific nature of war, particularly as it affects civilians and people who are non-combatants.
Okay.
That was really the thing that started it. Then the next step was, well, let's make sure that, prisoners of war and people like that are treated decently so they're not all being slaughtered or tortured or that sort of thing. And the community of civilized nations have since signed, treaties basically saying, yeah, this is the way we're going to do war. We're not going to do chemical warfare. We're not going to use landmines in civilian areas. And it does, in some cases, it's legal restrictions. In others, it's actual restrictions on, the techniques you might use. And in some cases, it's down to things like there's certain types of artillery rounds or aerial bombs that we don't use anymore, and other countries that are civilized don't use anymore. Some of the bad guys still use them. But, so there's some of it's very technical as far as the techniques that are used or not. In this case, these boats are, and I love it when people say, well, how do they know they're not fishermen? Well, fishermen don't put 3 giant outboard motors on their boats and have nothing on them but open boxes and barrels filled with little packages of things, as they skim across the water at a ridiculous rate of speed. And on top of that, we have intelligence on these guys. We have satellite imagery on these guys. We have, drone footage of these guys loading the boats and all this stuff. Frankly, we could be hitting targets on the coastline of Venezuela that are doing this because it's clear those targets are purely part of the drug business infrastructure. We haven't done that yet. We've done this when they're on the high seas, international waters, and it's clear they are on a drug delivery run before we've taken the action. Now, why don't we go out there and catch them? Because our Coast Guard ships can't sail that fast. And our Navy ships, we don't have a bunch of motorboats out there that are the equivalent of the go-fast boats being used. So we have to strike them. And that's a decision. You don't have to. You could let the drugs come in and then try and catch it in the cities. That's kind of what we've done in the past, and it hasn't worked.
No.
So now we're saying, no, you're going to do this deadly and destructive business. We're going to treat you like the pirates you are, and we're just going to take you out. And that fits in the law of war.
Okay.
Now, would it be better if Congress would pass a authorization for the use of force? Now you're getting into really nuanced legal things. An authorization for the use of force is akin to a declaration of war, but it's used against non-nation states. We had that against Al-Qaeda after 9/11. We haven't done that yet, and I know some of my lawyer buddies would be more comfortable if we would, but the president is using his executive authority to protect the United States to authorize these actions. So, people that are portraying this as some lawless cowboy actions out there, that's a bunch of nonsense.
Now, Hegseth is also under fire given the Inspector General's report about the signal chat, saying perhaps he risked the mission and the troops. What are your thoughts on the signal chat in the report that we got yesterday?
The signal stuff, look, that's just sloppy, in my opinion. It's unnecessary. We've got plenty of secure ways to communicate with people. They're not quite as slick and convenient, and you can't do it necessarily just by picking up your standard phone and starting to use it. But I carried a secure cell phone for 4 years when I worked as Secretary Rumsfeld's military assistant. I carried that darn thing with me 24/7, 365. And anybody who needed to talk to the boss, they called that number, and I would turn around and hand it to them. And it was 100%, government level crypto secure. The Signal stuff is a lazy methodology. It's not illegal. It is encrypted, but it's an unforced error. They just shouldn't be using that app at all for government business.
And when everyone has been out for Pete Hegseth's hide ever since he was nominated, he's got to be careful. That's Steve Bucci, who served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, visiting fellow at Heritage, and we are very, very blessed to have you, Steve, with us. We look forward to the next convo. Thanks for filling in so many of the blanks. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. See you then. Wow. Interesting stuff from a guy that's been there and done that, and really boots on the ground. Let's see what's going on in the markets on the Morning Bell. Coming up, it's 8:25. Stay tuned.
It's Wake
Opening bell, Stephanie Bell with the morning bell.
We had a little bit of a dip midday yesterday, but ultimately ended up on top with the Dow up 0.86%, the S&P up 0.30%, the NASDAQ up 0.17%. Driving those gains were industrials, financials, and energy. And the market is responding rather positively to a not so great jobs report that we got out yesterday, some jobs numbers, because maybe that means the Fed will lower the interest rate at their upcoming meeting in December. So what we found out about jobs in a report published yesterday, about November. This is the ADP report. You know, all of the government reports are delayed. But the U.S. private sector shed 32,000 jobs in November. After adding upward revised 47,000 jobs in October. This is according to ADP. This is the largest private headcount dip since early 2023, and it's led by small businesses. These were off expectations. Analysts had predicted some jobs gains. There really was a distinction between companies of different sizes. Again, companies with fewer than 50 employees, which I think is our typical definition of small businesses, shed 120,000 workers. Larger companies expanded headcount by a cumulative 90,000. But the growth in those larger companies has slowed as compared to recent months. We also saw Randy's looking like.
Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm thinking this through.
Beyond.
So wait a minute. There was actually a net job gain according to ADP for the big companies, but there was a huge job loss among small ones.
Correct.
And a net job loss.
Correct.
Okay.
And there was also variation amongst the various sectors. So we saw reduced headcounts in things like manufacturing, construction, finance, and professional services. But we saw growth in fields like education, health services, leisure, and hospitality, which maybe makes sense right as we enter the holiday season, and natural resources and mining, which maybe makes sense given some of the recent turnarounds with I guess, rare earth minerals and other things. Economists are now saying maybe those losses to small businesses are due to consumer belt tightening and economic challenges. I think for me, this is hard to square with all that we heard about record spending on Black Friday, right? And record holiday spending. But they're saying that others, Commerce Secretary and others in the admin are blaming the government shutdown for giving small businesses a squeeze and cited the deportation ramp up. But are suggesting that employment's going to rebound soon. Again, we're not going to see the government's November jobs report until December 16th. That's after the Fed meeting next week. So this is what we're going on for right now.
So jobs, according to ADP, a payroll survey,
correct,
which can be pretty accurate, right?
I think so.
Now, they don't do everyone's payrolls, but they're probably the largest, wouldn't you say, among payroll people? So among their survey, net loss of 32,000, while, it was dramatic among small businesses, reduced a little bit by net hiring for the large businesses. Howard Lutnick has some thoughts on that, and we'll talk about that at 8:35. We should do that because you're right. I mean, could it be seasonal? Could it be the tariffs, that are taking hold? Could it be the shutdown?
A survey of manufacturers suggests it might be uncertainty over tariffs. You're right on.
Lutnick may disagree. That next on Wake Up Missouri.
learned that the private sector is losing jobs. Small business getting hit really hard. Negative number in front of ADP. And one of the reasons that they cite is tariffs. So do you worry about some of the economic fallout here as these tariffs really take hold?
No, it's not tariffs. Remember, you had the Democratic shutdown, right? And what do you think happens to small business? The people who do business with the U.S. government, they know they're not getting paid, so they sort of slow down their projects. So you saw a little bit even of construction of small business down. So the Democratic shutdown hurt the numbers. And then remember, as you deport people, that's going to suppress private job numbers of small businesses. But they'll rebalance and they'll regrow. So I think this is just a near-term event. And you'll see as the numbers come through over the next couple of months, you'll see that all pass. And next year, the numbers are going to be fantastic.
Boy, I keep hearing this. Two thoughts about Commerce Secretary Lutnick. We were just talking, if you're just joining us, I'm Randy Tobler along with Stephanie Bell, John Marsh, and Drake Whitman. We are Wake Up Missouri, and we're glad you're in the family. Now, we were talking in the morning report, Stephanie, about how you said that net jobs, according to the ADP payroll, down 32,000, and small business taking a big hit in the month of October. November, right? November.
Yes.
Okay. So while the large companies were, I guess you can say, insulated from whatever it was that was getting at small businesses' predilection for either hiring or retaining jobs. So he's saying it was the shutdown, and it was that small businesses with uncertainty and maybe about their future with government contracts, or in that moment, the checks not coming from the government, right? They were held up. Well, I participate in a little conservation program on my farm, and the check didn't get dropped in the box because of the delay in the government shutdown thing. Okay. Well, if you're a small business and you're largely dependent on that, and you said it was what, manufacturing and service? Yep. Yeah. Okay. But small business, the reporting is saying, the media is saying, no, it's the tariffs that are hurting. Well, I have a story. We were at my mom's 91st birthday.
Wow.
We went to Washington and met there at a very nice place. What is it called? Mangia Bella. And it's a place like there was an old Underground Railroad guy's house that they turned into a restaurant. Really nice little restaurant. We had lunch there with Mom. 91st birthday. So one of my nephews works at a refrigeration manufacturing company in the St. Louis. Well, it's actually, outside of St. Louis, suburban St. Louis area. And he does software IT for them and stuff. And I said, so how's things been? Business good? He said, it's been a little slow. Why? It's doing well, but they're like they have a large market share. The refrigeration units, like for grocery stores and Dollar General and Walmart and whatever, that does, with freezer and refrigerated section. He said it's been a little slow. And I said, why? The answer wasn't shutdown. It was tariffs.
I believe it.
It was supply chain. And it was both uncertainty in terms of being able to afford the incoming and having alternative markets in the high tariff exporters that they're getting stuff from across overseas, I guess parts and whatever. And so tariffs was the answer. Now that's one anecdotal story, but we're going to talk to our friend from the small business expert, right? Next Tuesday. Isn't that right? Tuesday?
Brad Jones, yeah.
Dr. Brad. I think so, on Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday. So we'll ask him maybe he's got some insight into that. Maybe if Brad's listening, and you give us a quick call or a text today. But I can't help but think that the tariffs have had something to do with this. And so does the uncertainty over what's going to happen here as of January 30th. Because I haven't heard much movement on these appropriation bills, Stephanie. I mean, who is it? Stefanik and Mike Johnson they've had a little public tiff over the fact she wants to get some provision in the National Defense Authorization Act, and he doesn't want to put it in there. Although he says that's what's reported. He said, I haven't talked with her about it. I don't know what she means. What's her issue, John? I forget. There's something she has. Some.
For Stefanik?
Elise Stefanik, yeah.
Isn't that the one when they're out trying to gather the signatures where they can do an end around on the speaker and get their legislation heard no matter what it is on his calendar?
Yeah, she's supporting the discharge petition on the congressional stock trading ban.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was something else with the Defense Authorization Act that's not going to be included that she wanted to be included. We'll get that. But
yeah, that's
was that it?
Yeah, that's
part. Yeah, that's
okay.
part of it. That's
part of
what
it.
it's attached to.
All right. So
because of the
that's right. It's another
in military.
It's another insider
industry.
trading act. Yeah. Okay. And apparently that's not included in the committee's current version of the bill or something. But look, if I'm a businessman, and if I'm a small businessman, that means under 50 generally employees, at least for purposes of health insurance, having to provide health insurance. If you're under 50, you don't have to do the Obamacare provision of health insurance. I'm looking at the landscape, and whether it's I have government contracts or not, I don't really care. If the government's shutting down and the economy is, therefore threatened, and things are really, because so much depends on federal government now, economic-wise, in this country, I'm probably going to hold my cards close to the vest, and I'm not going to hire. In fact, I may even lay people off if it's a little bit of a slowdown. But how does that all comport with the report of like this being the biggest both online and bricks and mortar spending season over the 5-day span from Thanksgiving through Monday that just passed? How does that all... Well, I was talking with Doug from Creative during the break. It's like, how does that all make sense? And we both looked at one another and said, put it on the card. That's probably
Then you're back to Lutnick's support of the tariff stimulus checks that the president talked about, and a lot of people wondering, well, okay, we did it during COVID. Are we going to get another $2,000 check in the mail?
And how's that going to work for inflation reduction when you start pumping more money into the economy? I mean, there's something that doesn't square, whether it comes from a Democrat government or a Republican government. The constant theme that I just can't get out of my mind because I keep circling back to it is like, would you government types stop doing things for us? Just stop it. Every time you're doing things for us, it may be for some, but you're doing it to the rest of us. And it's a family show, so I can't further illustrate what I'm talking about. Just stop helping me. That help doesn't feel so good. I don't know. Call me if you think I'm wrong here, but I don't want your $2,000 from tariffs. I don't mind reciprocal tariffs at the same level. I'm actually okay with that. But these punitive tariffs that then you have to reel back. Now it's suddenly, isn't it a what do you call that? A prima facie admission. I'm going to use a legal term. Isn't it a prima facie admission of tariff harm when you have to roll back tariffs on coffee and bananas? Doesn't that admit that tariffs hurt the American consumer's pocketbook? Is there any other way to interpret that?
I keep circling back to what Lutnick said about when they did the big trade deal with the EU, and what did he call it? A monster deal, and it's great for America and all, if you did the math on it. But then when the tariffs, who pays the tariffs? Obviously the end user, the consumer.
Well, for a while, Walmart ate some of that tariff burden, right? Remember, they said we're going to have to finally start passing it on. I mean, they came out and said it.
Well, they've been so up and down with the president and the tariffs on China. One time they're 150%, and then it's back down to 30%.
And now they're backing away from the argument that it's good economically. They're just, this is just a bargaining chip to get foreign policy done.
I don't think that's wrong.
Well, but meanwhile, I keep thinking of that interview I heard with that guy, the bicycle shop guy. He's like, you're killing me here. I run a bicycle shop hiring 14 people. Yes, we get stuff from China and from wherever else, and I'd be happy to develop alternative markets, but please tell me what the rules are. I will play by them. Don't keep changing them. And this is where I think this latest jobs report and who's getting hurt plays into it. This is Donald Trump's policies are potentially favoring consolidation and larger conglomeration. And if you look at the healthcare insurance market, how's that working out for you? When you don't have multiple competing insurers, because only the big boys can comply with this. Only the big boys have the bank accounts and the reserves to put up with government shutdowns and tariffs and uncertainty. And they're like, yeah, we can weather the storm. Our ship's big enough. Those big waves aren't going to sink us. But if you're a little guy trying to make payroll, it's just not fair to keep changing the rules. It's not fair.
We.
I'm sorry. You're the one that brought the data to the table. You're the one that said small business is getting hurt somehow differentially than big business. No?
I think if you're just looking month to month, yes, that's what the data shows. But I also think like small businesses are the backbone of our economy. We're more flexible. We can move at a faster pace. And so, yeah, sometimes, you got to make decisions that you don't like. But at the same time, I don't have concerns about small business going forward. I think they're going to thrive. And everyone who's kind of boo-hooing over the economy now, I would caution them in just that. Can you imagine where we would be if we had Kamala Harris at the helm?
Well, okay. All right. Look, but that's like
case closed.
Is that a lesser of two evils argument I'm hearing there?
I'm not saying that we're doing the best job. I think we could probably do a better job. I don't fully understand the rationale behind the tariffs, but I think at the same time, Trump's a business guy and he's a deal maker, and I am still in the camp of trusting the process.
Well, my take on it is, when you talked about Brad Jones, our buddy with the Missouri chapter of National Federation of Independent Business, every time we have him on and they do their monthly survey, it's like, yeah, we hear managing inflation and rising costs are all, a big part of it. But one of the biggest things he comes back to is recruiting and retaining qualified people on the small business side, especially.
Yeah. Tanya makes a good point. Raise in hourly wage also changes in the economy. I mean, think about that. Again, thank you, Mr. Government. I don't care whether you wear an elephant or a donkey. I'd prefer if you would just don't tread on me and call it help. Back with leftovers after this.
It's
So on
horse
Sunday,
pizza?
So no, one of their favorite thing was pizza. It's especially, but you could buy a cauliflower crust. So I got their cauliflower crust supreme pizza. It's very, very good. And I put it in the little box, put it in our cooler, put a bag of ice in the Ziploc to cool it. We got home and the box had gotten wet because of the condensation of the ice. And Helene said, well, there goes the pizza. I said, no, I'm not throwing away that cauliflower crust pizza. I don't throw anything away.
It's mushy when it comes out hot.
So what I did, you're going to get a kick. I said, I can salvage the cauliflower crust pizza. It was a special pizza.
Did you stir it up into a pizza smoothie?
So I tried the oven. I put it on a parchment paper on the pizza, plate in the oven. And all it did was puff up the cauliflower. Now I'm looking at soggy cauliflower. But then I put it in a pan and I seared it. And it actually turned out good. But it went from thin cauliflower crust to thick, sort of mushy cauliflower crust pizza.
That sounds terrible. You should visit apparently Northeast Pizza, which Portnoy gave a 7.7 in Kansas City. So, hot spot.
Thanks for being with us. See you tomorrow. Feel Good Friday.
Bye.